Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanessa and I am an indie author from Toronto, Canada, and I publish under the pen name A and Sage. I write mostly in the YA and A space, in fantasy, sci-fi, and a lot of magical realism. And if you're interested in tips on writing, kind of behind the scenes of what a writer's life looks like, and just anything that I find inspiring or useful throughout my writing journey, then make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and that you have the bell notification on so that you can be notified of new videos. I try to drop videos pretty much every week. I haven't missed a week so far, which is great. So you're always guaranteed to hear from me at least once a week. And with that said, we are back for another Sage Advice episode. If you're new to the channel and you don't know what Sage Advice is, it is kind of like a little mini series that I do, and I do one video a month in it where I talk about some of the mistakes that I made in my writing journey in hopes of saving you the time from making them yourself. Of course, the best way to learn is from learning from your own mistakes, but hey, if we can avoid making those mistakes, why the heck not? So in today's Sage Advice episode, we are talking about marketing. Now, there are plenty of mistakes that I made in my journey as a writer in marketing. A lot of it is budget related, and a lot of it cost me quite a pretty penny. And it doesn't have to be this way, especially when you're first starting out. So the main thing, I think one of the main mistakes that I made is spending too much money trying out every advertising option out there without finding out what works first. So what I did, and what my main mistake was I spread my ad budget way too thin, across too wide a net. I tried everything. I literally, whenever somebody said they tried something, I would run off and I would do it too. And it's not a great way to kind of do any kind of marketing, really, but especially when you're just starting out and your budget is small or possibly non-existent. There's no point of throwing money away. You should be going for things that might cost less to start, but will give you more return on your investment, or ROI. And that's usually how you work any marketing. I do have a background in marketing, in that I worked in marketing firms, and you want to grow your marketing budget and your spend slowly, and not just throw money everywhere like I did. Just whatever you think might work, because that's not how you learn what works for you. And so that was my main mistake. So when it comes to marketing, I would say that my main advice is don't jump into pay-per-click ads. So your Facebook ads, your Amazon ads, your BookBook paid ads, the TikTok now has paid ads. Don't jump into them. There are other ways you can market when you start out that don't involve spending money. Social media marketing, just putting yourself out there. For sure, it's harder it is than just to kind of throw cash into something and hope it works. But it's more personal, and it will slowly get your name out there so that when you are ready to pay for ads, you already have a platform or some kind of existence out there. As an author, people already know who you are. They know what to expect, and that's really important. Word of mouth, right? Just getting your book out there, calling local bookstores. I know now with everything that's going on with COVID and everything, it's harder to do in-book signings, but people still do allow them. You could do them outside of a bookstore and a little table, and just getting neighborhood people from your area or other areas involved and getting to know your books. And if they like it, they will spread the word for you. So word of mouth marketing works really well, and it doesn't cost you anything for the most part. But if you do want to use paid pay-per-click sites, test them a lot. Another mistake I made was I didn't test things. I just kind of followed what other people were doing. I tried to copy it, and I lost a lot of money that way because I didn't do what was right for my books, and I didn't know what was right for my books because I did not test them. You want to make sure that you test everything. You want to test your audience. You want to test your creative. You want to test your copy. And you want to allocate some kind of budget for these tests, because when you're done and you know what kind of ad will get you the most return and will get you the most sales and a positive ROI, that's when you want to actually sink your budget into. But before that, everything is just, you're going in blind, right? So you really want to make sure you test all of these three. So your copy, your creative, and your audience. Those are your three main things that you're going to be testing. And you want to test them on all the pay-per-click platforms that you are running. So for budgeting, my recommendation is to spend about $200 to $300 on Facebook on tests. You want to give your tests at least 3 to 4 on Facebook, 3 to 4 days to kind of see if they're picking up traction, if your clicks are too high, etc., and read that data. And you want to do that so you want to have some creatives that you're testing, maybe like 3 or 4 creatives. Put a budget of like between $5 and $10 a day on that, and just run it for a few days and see which creative gets the most engagement. You want to do that as an engagement ad if you can. Then you want to do the same thing with the winning creative, but for copy. So a few different versions of copies, $5 to $10 a day, and then see which one gets the most engagement. Then you want to switch over to traffic ads and test different audience with your winning copy and your winning creative. And now you're going to test different audiences. You want to look at different authors, interests that people might have, other Facebook things that they're interested in. So all in all, after you're done testing, you will have spent between $200 and $300. I think it's a good number to kind of keep in mind for your budget to test Facebook ads. For Amazon, I find for me, I usually spend less money testing on Amazon because Amazon takes so long to see traction on. And so I kind of start much lower. I never bid over like 30 cents per click ever on Amazon, even though I've seen people go higher, but for the most part, I stick between 20 and 30, and that works in my genre. And I have a lot of ads running. Now, I usually spend between $100 and $200 testing on Amazon, and it might sound like a lot, but that money for me, it takes like a few months to spend that test money, because Amazon takes a while to get traction on. There's a lot of competition on there. If you are in KU, that's the main and final place where your readers are finding you, and others as well. And so you could imagine there's a lot of bids happening for the same space. And so it will take time. So with Amazon, I mean, Facebook will take your money. I've said this before, I think, on this channel. Facebook will take your money all the time. They'll pocket it no matter what. Amazon, it's harder to get them to take your money, sometimes very, very difficult. And so don't worry about overspending on Amazon. You have a lot more chance to overspend on Facebook, who will spend your daily budget no matter what, than on Amazon, at least from my experience, of course. For BookBub, I usually spend between $100 and $300 testing on BookBub, and I tend to stick to more indie and smaller authors. I have a few tests that I run when I'm testing an ad for the bigger authors as well, but I find like traditional authors don't perform well for ads on BookBub, but indie authors really do. And so to test that, again, you want to test your creative, your creative and copy on BookBub. It's a little different, right? Because unlike Amazon and Facebook, you don't split those up separately. Your creative has your copy on it. So really, you're just testing different creative with different copy on it. And I usually do anywhere between 5 to 10 different creatives that I test on BookBub when I'm running through the tests. So another thing that you kind of want to think about when you're doing these paid ads is don't run all of them at once. Pick a platform, test it out for a month, 2 months, however long, then pick another platform, test it out again, then the next one. It'll take time. You could probably be testing for 6 months to figure out which platform really works for you, but it'll be worth it because you might find out that some don't work for you. BookBub for me, for Shadowhurst, for example, does not work at all. For Cortega, works great. It took a while to get there. It took a lot of money I wasted trying to get BookBub to work for Shadowhurst, only to later realize that It is not just a BookBub kind of ad. Facebook works really well for Shadowhurst. Facebook does not work really well for Cortega. Different genres, different areas. It all took tests, right? So you want to space them out. Don't run them all at once because you want to see what's working. You won't know what's working if you're running them all at once because they're all driving traffic, and you want to know which one drives the most traffic and gets you the most sales. Another thing you want to think about is utilize your free days in KU. If you are in Kindle Unlimited, you will have those free days on there. So if you're going to use them, try to sandwich those sites with newsletter promo sites. There's a ton of newsletter promo sites out there. And the way they work is kind of like those very sought after BookBub featured newsletters, emails that you get. They have them, all different companies run them. Some of them are very large numbers of subscribers and they work very, very well. And they are very, so much easier to get into, right? Because you just book them. Just make sure you book ahead of time of when your free days are running because they might get booked up. So just look a month or two ahead. Sometimes you might get lucky with a few weeks ahead, but better to be prepared. Some of the ones that have worked for me out of these newsletter promo sites are eReader News Today, or ENT, and Free Booksy. Those two, I swear by, they work every single time. I always, when I have a free book of any kind of promotion, I get thousands and thousands of downloads if I run these two together. Again, sandwiching them with the promotion. Sometimes I'll use Facebook ads to help out as well, but for the most part, I find just those two promo sites with the free put together gets me so many downloads. If you want a more extensive list of different sites to test out, because you should be testing these as well, I can put a link to David Gongren's blog in the description, and he has a really concise list of a whole bunch of them that I think he updates fairly frequently. So it's a really good resource to have. And then when you're using these promo sites, think of the series promotions that they have available. Some of them, like ENT and I believe Free Booksy does now as well, Bargain Bookski does, they have series promotions. So what you can do is list your first book in your series for free on those free days, and then have the second book for 99 cents and the third book for $1.99, and then moving on at full price, and use those series promotions. They will cost you a little bit more, but totally worth it. So you want to use those series promotions because they're going to drive people to your free book, but they're also going to advertise that you have this other series. And I find when I give a slight discount to the rest of the series, I have people who will buy the entire series. And you have a series of 7, 8, 10, whatever books. That's a pretty decent purchase from one person, right? Plus you'll get reviews from it. You'll get different people recommending it. So it's just totally worth it to throw in the whole series as well when you're doing it. And then my final kind of advice is keep trying for those BookBub feature deals. They can be kind of intimidating to try for because you always think about, what should you write? I mean, you could submit and not write anything at all. I've done that too with success. So just definitely try. Make yourself a schedule of all your books and see which ones you applied for on each month. And every month, make sure you submit one book, at least one book, to the BookBub feature deal. Because trust me, if you get it, it is so worth the money. And don't be afraid to make your book free to get this deal. Because if you have a series, you might have a free book and people are downloading the free book and you're paying BookBub to promote a book you're not making money on, but those people will buy your series, the rest of the books, if they're like the first one. And so that tail of the BookBub promotion will last you for usually anywhere between 3 weeks to a month of people just continually picking up sales and getting more books. So try for the BookBub deal. The first rejection is gonna really suck. And you're going to take it really personally. Don't take it personally. Just keep trying, keep throwing it out there. Because if you get one, it's amazing. It's really good. It will put your book in the top one, pretty much always. And you will always make your money back, at least from my experience, right? So keep trying. And that's what I have for you today for marketing. I know it's kind of like quick, short, but I'm hoping concise. But those are some of my tips for you. Don't be afraid of marketing. Marketing can be fun. Like I said, a lot of the stuff I mentioned is the stuff you would pay for, because at the end, like if you've been doing it for a while, there's only so far that free marketing can take you. And you know what? To be honest, I've seen authors that don't really pay for ads of any kind, don't do any kind of paid promotion, and they do really well. But the more and more books are being put out every single month, the harder it becomes to kind of stand out in the sea of other books out there. And so, whatever leg up you can give yourself, I think it's totally worth it. So, if you're a new author and you're starting out, I would totally recommend sitting down, figuring a business plan for your author career, and seeing how much of your budget you can allocate to some ads. It doesn't have to be all the ones I talked about. Like I said, you probably shouldn't be running all of them anyways, but see where you can kind of play around with marketing, and see if it works for you. For all you know, you're going to do some tests and it's just not going to work for your books, and then you never have to worry about paying for marketing again. You can just continue doing social media and newsletters and all of that stuff. So but it's definitely worth a test, right? You want to get your book out there in whatever way you can. You want to get new readers. You wrote a book. You wrote a whole book. People should hear about it. So spread the word whatever way you can. Good luck with your marketing efforts. If you have any questions, make sure to reach out for me. I am always available and happy to answer and help in any way that I can, or comment below if you have any questions and I'll answer those as well. Thank you as always for listening to me, and if subscribing, if you have subscribed, and if you haven't and would like to, it's really, really appreciated. And thank you for everyone that's been around so far. You guys are amazing. I hope you stay magical, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.